Hi, welcome to another episode of Coffee and HEMA with me, Jamie McKeever. I'm going to move off safety for a little while now, just because I've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks. And I want to talk today, just kind of more generally speaking, about something that happens a lot, which is that people wonder whether they're ready for the next step, right? That next step could be go to a tournament. That next step could be starting to instruct. That could be starting up your own club, right? And um, pretty much all of us who've done this at some point, before they did it, would have questioned themselves and said, "Is now the right time? Am I ready to do it? Is this something that I can do? Am I good enough?" Right? And if the question is, "Are you ready to on day one start and be perfect and wonderful and amazing and the best person ever?" The answer was pretty much always no. But to be clear, that doesn't mean you're not ready to start, right? And we have this problem where, when we see a tournament, when we see a teacher, we're generally seeing somebody who's been doing it for a while, right? Who's at the top of their game, or rather at least, several years experienced. And we inevitably compare ourselves to that rather than to what they looked like when they went in for their first tournament, or when they started teaching their first class. And I would say for all of these, and it's true in life as it is in HEMA, but we're talking about HEMA today. The moment where you are looking at the thing that you want to do with a little bit of fear, but probably more excitement than fear, and a recognition that you're not going to be perfect at it when you start, that's kind of the moment where you should take the plunge. Okay. If you forever wait until you think you are perfect for the thing, you'll never be, because one of the ways you get better at something is by doing it. But the key thing is to not set yourself too high expectations for what you're going to look like day one, right? If you're going into your first tournament, most people go into the first tournament with objectives like, well, people should go into their first tournament with objectives like, I'm going to get an exchange, hit a point in every fight, right? Which is fine, right? Don't go into your first tournament expecting to come out with a gold. You don't necessarily have to make objectives based upon the tournament results. Just go in, have fun, learn something, don't get injured, right? Are probably perfectly good goals for your first tournament. For your first class, everybody learned one thing, everybody had fun, nobody got injured, right? These are good objectives, and to be honest, they're kind of still my objectives for a class 6-7 years on. But you're not going to be perfect at these things, and if you wait till you feel like you are going to be amazing and wonderful, you'll never start. There's a quote from Voltaire: "Don't make the perfect the enemy of the good," and that really applies here more than anywhere else in HEMA about whether you feel you're ready. Because if you wait for perfection, the good will never happen. Perfection will also never happen. But having said all of that, when you go into these things, you need to go into them with a degree of humility in mind, right? In that, you need to set your expectations to where they should be, that you're not going to be the perfect teacher in the first time you teach. You need to recognize that you're going into them as a beginner, right? Even if you've been fencing 10 years, if you're teaching for the first time, you're a beginner at teaching. If you're going to the tournament for the first time, you're a beginner at tournaments. And as a result, as being a beginner, just like in fencing, you have something to learn, right? And when you come out of your first teaching experience, or your 10th teaching experience, or your tournament experience, you need to reflect on what went well, what went badly, both from a personal perspective and from a kind of success perspective for everybody else, and use that to continue to grow and continue to develop. But in short, if you're questioning, if you're looking at something that you want to do and you're thinking, "Am I ready for it?" The answer is probably actually yes, right? I said no earlier. It's yes if what you mean is, "Am I ready to start and learn?" It's no if the question is, "Am I ready to be the perfect person to do that?" But you will never be the perfect person to do that unless you start. So go out, start, speak to your instructor about teaching a class, talk to somebody who's going to a tournament, tag along with them, go, have fun, learn from the experience, come back a better person, and develop in whichever way you want to do.